For this episode of Mission Driven, John Henry interviews Laolu Senbanjo, a Nigerian visual artist, musician, singer-songwriter, and former human rights attorney. He has worked with talented celebrities such as Taraji P. Henson, Alicia Keys, as well as Beyonce with her Grammy Award-winning album Lemonade. His art has graced multiple covers, as influenced by many believing everything is a canvas. He has expressed that melanin is truly the paint that makes his art pop. He continues to move within the art space as well as continuing to stay true to his roots and his message. This is Mission Driven.
I would love your take on this. Is something that I spoke to Jibalu about, but I feel like, this series is all about highlighting people whom make change through their craft and have done so despite it being popular or unpopular, convenient or inconvenient. And in your case, ahead of the puck. So I feel like your art, to me, represents an art that has always stood for more than the artist, and used your art to shine a spotlight on issues of today, but also contextualized with your culture. So to me, it's always been a fascinating blend. I guess I would just love your take on the current state of affairs in the country. We're just coming off of a verdict with Floyd and what have you. Do you feel like art has played a part in all the stuff that's going on and in today's injustices, or what role do you feel it has played, if any?
I definitely think art has been an important part in putting pressure, also organizing. First of all, I like to take it back a little bit. Just my background, and when I came to the US, I came to the US about 6.5 years ago, and it's been a journey for me into living in America as a Black person. And for me, I've never felt more Black in my entire life. It's very, very, it's a journey that I've had to, come to. I never felt Black from the moment I came to America. I always felt Nigerian. Like in Nigeria, you have everybody, 250 million people that are, look like me. So nobody calls you Black, but coming to America and being here, people call, first of all, it was like, but you're Black. I'm like, no, I'm Nigerian, but you're still Black. And I'm like, I fought against it. Every part of my being is like, you can't erase my culture. I'm Yoruba, I'm Nigerian. You can't erase that with a color. So I always felt like, why should you, take away my identity like that? Because I didn't understand it. Trust me, now I fully get it. After living here, after being discriminated against, had my own, just living in America as a Black person, then you understand the reason why we all need to, come together and use whatever it is we have to fight, this scourge called racism, this nonsense. I call it nonsense because honestly, after all my research, and all the readings I've done, decided to do my own crash course on, civil rights, Jim Crow, all that stuff. And I always ask myself, what I just always ask is, why is America on fire right now? Why are people not burning things down? Because the amount of injustice that African Americans have had to suffer in this country is second to none anywhere in the globe. In terms of slavery, and just the scourge, all the injustices that have gone unspoken about. So what is justice? What does it look like? I mean, justice is not from this this verdict that we just heard, that's not justice,
Right.
you know, because people often say, oh, now justice has been served. I'm like,
Right,
no,
right.
what the hell are you talking about?
Yo, so I feel similarly.
You
So I'm
know?
curious for your thoughts, because like it feels hollow to celebrate like that someone said
Yeah,
guilty, you know, but it's
yeah,
symbolic to people, and I feel like people crave that and want that, but it feels
yeah.
misguided.
People crave it and want that, but it's like you have to. It's like the way I'd like to put it is that it's almost like there have been so many cases. You can start from Emmett Till, Jordan Davis, Sandra Bland. We're still talking about Breonna Taylor. You know, it's like you have wounded the psyche of a people so badly that this is when you see justice, like the scales of justice is tilted like this. So what that verdict does is just comes up a little bit, just a little bit, you know. Maybe when we get like convictions, the cops with Breonna Taylor moves it a little bit, but because the thing is, it's not just one thing that's gonna fix it. What people are asking for is let people not just get killed in the first place.
Right.
People like I think that what a lot of us, a lot of activists or people who make art, what people are trying to tell people is to shift people's gaze into seeing, just being in another person's shoes and understanding that all that people are asking for is fair treatment. I shouldn't have to die just because I'm in this skin, you know?
Powerful.
I shouldn't have to die because I'm in this. Because the thing is, coming here, I came into America and a lot of things were happening at the time. I was watching the Trayvon Martin, the jury on the Zimmerman case, and I was watching, I was pretty much fascinated by the prosecution. I think it was Mark O'Mara and some other guy, I can't remember right now the names, but in my entire life, because Nigeria is under the British system and the system of law does not use the jury system, it made no sense to me that you have a jury in the courtroom, you know? So all my years as a lawyer, I always thought the court was just, made constituted of the lawyers, the senior advocates, and we have the judges, and we have the justices, the worst, all of that. But in America has a unique system where the jury is pretty much considered of people who people assigned jury duty, but people who are assigned jury duty are members of the community who understand, just the different things that happen in the community, and they have a good feel of how people behave and all that stuff. But my mind was like, are these guys legally trained? No. Do they understand did they go to any school of law? Do they understand the codes and the sections, the constitution, balance of probable doubt, like just, this legal concept of having to prove beyond every reasonable doubt in a murder trial. Like, right. Do they understand that? And I was confused. But then, after Zimmerman was, acquitted, I was just like, wow, what a country. After all this show, the TV, everything was like a show, right, it was all huge and all that. And I was just getting to understand. And after that, my aunt, we were talking, I'm like, Laolu, you live in America now. Whenever you're driving, she said, you have to, don't move, make sudden movements, always put your hands up in the steering wheel. Wow. When we talk to you, you have to, be polite, don't say this, don't say that, And in my head, I'm just like, wow, why? In my head, I was like, what's all this? And also, it's how you get it. You'll get it later. You get it. The law will just listen. This is how it is here and all that. Because I came to America with the hope of just coming here and be the best version of, the coolest Black person in the world. To us, outside America, are Black people. Because of the movies, like, yo, man, I came here to yo, and I learned to get here, and then they give you a school of how you're not, that cool. Just know that, you can't be killed, or this might, it's baffling because they don't show you that in the movies. All this is happening recently. There's a lot of things you're watching now I mean, in terms of, showing all this pain and trauma is very, pretty recent. Growing up, we just saw all the other things about, dopeness, about culture, American culture, rap and all that, all that stuff was like, the culture in America runs the whole world, not just America, So I just wanted to be part of that. And only to get here and then you're like being schooled of how to behave and not to behave, and how some people literally can kill you and get away with it if you don't play ball, It's just something that I never thought would be something I would have to deal with. And now I kind of get it. And there's also people who live in Nigeria. Like, when I remember my first protest, I went to Union Square and I had the Black Lives Matter art and poster and everything. And I think it was one of my uncles saw my post on Facebook and it was like, oh, so you're now African American, Abi. It's like this story. Like now you have changed. You're now behaving like Africa. Are you? And in my head, I just, this privilege just was so, like, I just felt it. It was very, I just understood what it meant, because if you don't live in America, you won't get it. You understand? And it's like, remember you're Nigerian first, or you're a Yoruba person. You're not, they'll use this word akata to describe African Americans, which is often like, it's also racist. It's also very, very, very privileged term to say, oh, you're different from, an African American. Right. So this is the thing. A lot of people back home will say, oh, you're not, this, you're this. So you can't be that. But they don't live here and they don't know exactly how you feel and how you function here. So I had to tell him that, listen, if I show up in this skin on this place, like anytime I'm walking around New York, like when a cop sees me, he doesn't see a Nigerian. He doesn't see a Ghanaian. He doesn't see someone of Benin Republic. He doesn't see anyone. He sees a Black person, just another Black guy on the street. I don't get interviewed that, hey, what kind of Black are you?
Right.
Nobody puts a camera in my face to ask me that, So it's a very unique place in which I come from, a unique perspective. In terms of now I've inherited everything, whether I like it or not. Everything Martin Luther King talked about. And the funny thing is that the privilege that we enjoy in this country as immigrants, it's all because of Black people who fought, bled, and died to give us a chance to even live here and be here in the first place. So why would anyone even say that, oh, you're better than someone? Like, have you been in there? Have you ever lived here? How do you even know what it feels like? I mean, the truth is, I think it was part of the immigration. I can't remember the part of the civil rights movement and fight that Martin Luther King fought for actually covered a lot of people, immigrants, to be able to even come here and make a living and have a path to become a citizen of this country. So it's like, for me, it's every day weighs more and more upon me that, I've been put here and I have a unique responsibility, because now I bring with me a culture, I bring with me an art form that it's like been long lost due to slavery and due to all the horrors that did. And I have to connect a lot of us, because I see us as one people, together, connect them back to the continent, and just merge that and forge forward, for a better future, and that is powerful, So who am I?
That gives me chills, bro. For real. Yeah.
Yeah. So who am I to say, oh, I'm not going to do that, So this is all of us. This is our fight, I've had brushes with law enforcement. Like there was a day I was shopping at Target and I had a lot of folks. We were like together and they had bought a lot of things. I paid, by the way. And this other folks were like white people, and they had, my friends, by the way, and they had crossed it was security. So excuse me. They had passed through security. I was coming behind. I saw them go forward, but I had a lot of bags and stuff. And I was about to get past. Wasn't even thinking about it. The security and the cops just pulled me aside, and they said they wanted a receipt from me. to see if I bought those things. At first, I was like, okay, there must have been a mistake or something. Okay, great. I was trying to reach out to them. They didn't see me. They already went to the elevator. This was in Stargate, close to Brooklyn College in Flatbush, and they had gone to the elevator. They were going, and I got searched. They were checking all the things, and they asked me for the receipt. I did not have the receipt. Receipt was one of my friends. They already went through the door, and I was just like, holy shit. So I started calling. And they were like, sorry, sir, the reason, sir, that I had to wait until I had my receipt and everything. So eventually they came back with the receipt, and they were so mad at the security. Like, why did you stop? We're together. You saw us, blah, 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 and everything. These guys did not even, the security did not even cooperate. They didn't say shit. They just took the receipt and they checked every single thing.
Wow.
Every single thing.
Unreal.
Every single thing that I got. And they were still mad, like, really? What the fuck is this? And they were cursing. And I was hard to tell them to chill. But in my head, I was telling them, chill. Like, yo, just chill. Don't get me, like,
right.
Because they started cursing them out and, saying all sorts of things to them and all that. I'm like, yo, I don't want any trouble. But, now years later, when I played back that episode in my head, I was just like, holy shit. Yeah, that was crazy. Like, they understood because they've lived there all their lives. But I was just thinking probably was a mistake or was a, error. They just didn't know what they were doing. Or maybe, and again, just like, I fit a description. And who is the description? Young African-American male with like care or something,
Right.
I just fit somebody who would steal.
Right.
In their mind, because that's how they've been trained and how they've been socialized to discriminate in this world. So it behoves in us as artists and whatever it is we are to reflect the times that we're in. That's why art is very, very important. That's why I use my art to speak and talk and say things, that otherwise people would not say, because it helps us start the uncomfortable. We start the uncomfortable conversation, because a lot of people don't want to talk about it. A lot of white people don't want to talk about it. A lot of people are just like, yeah, it's bad, but let's not do, it's becoming tired. Oh, it's trauma porn. I'm like, nah, fuck that shit. What do you mean trauma porn? Like, now people say a lot, because a lot of people are getting uncomfortable, and that's the start. Art needs to make you uncomfortable. If you feel uncomfortable, then we're off to a start.
There we go.
You shouldn't watch it and feel, you shouldn't watch it or see something or then you feel like, okay. Because some people say things sometimes like, it's not always about racist cops. I'm like, yeah, it's not about racist cops. So it's about what? Tell me. No, not all cops are bad. Oh yeah, well, the good cops are trying to stop the bad cops when all these things are happening. When you watch that Floyd video over and over and over again, a lot of things are at play. Not just Derek Chauvin, not just the guy who was putting knee on the guy's neck. It was every other cop in the area. Do you understand? Just the fact that they acquiesce and nobody really says, stop, you're killing the man. They all just watch. They do their duty, hold posts, keep people away. Don't come here, stay away. We're doing our job. We're doing the lynching. We are the, this is what we do, and people will literally watch another man. Not 10 seconds, not 15 seconds, not 30 seconds, not 1 minute, not 2 minutes, not 3 minutes, 5, 9 minutes. Come on, man. And some people, it's like, oh, we don't think he intended to kill the man. Are you for real? Are you for real? That shit lives rent-free in my head. That video. It gives me chills. Last year when it dropped, I was so devastated because I was just like, God. Because that is another person who looks like you. And it's just, when does it become like this kind of incidences that just have is a common communication with you, a police officer, becomes a death sentence? You're not, just imagine, let's just forget it. Even if you don't obey a police officer, just as you don't obey, is that a death sentence?
Right.
You having a weapon in your hands, is that a death sentence? That's your job. Half of all these things is happens communication over and over again. These guys just feel it's like anytime that somebody like looks like you and I, it's just like we're a threat, and the next thing is they use the maximum force. It's like they're at war.
Right.
Yeah, just make sure, yeah, let's go to war with this
Eliminate
guy,
the threat. Yep.
you know, eliminate the threat. You know, and that's what disgusts me, and that's why we're never going to stop. Even in our lifetime, it's our job. We keep the job to make it better for, you know, brown and black folk who are going to come after and going to live in this place, to know that, okay, we made it better, because it's what I do, and I'm not going to stop. I'm not apologetic about it at all.
Man, your role though is especially, I can empathize with, so I'm Dominican, and you know, Dominicans, a lot like Africans, will say, yo, you're Dominican, you're not black.
Yeah, you know, black, yeah.
Right, but that's Dominicans that are back home, and even some Dominicans here, but they don't understand, similar to what you were saying, like when you're here, it's just the black experience, right? And
right, true.
And I had never distinguished, I was never actually able to put words to that feeling that, like, yo, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? Like in the Dominican culture, like there was a stop in the slave trade. So we're Tainos, we're black, and we're the, you know, Europeans all merged into one. But when you're here, you're seen as one thing. And it strikes me as very special for you as an artist, that, you know, to be Dominican or whatever is one thing, but to come from where you come from, which is the motherland, and to have your roots, and to have your people feel like there's a difference between Nigerian and Black American, to come here and effectively inherit the weights and the fight. You've inherited it. You've inherited pressures. It's inescapable. It's your daily reality. But you also have the roots from back home, and you are effectively, you found yourself in this position where you're a messenger effectively, and you can serve as a bridge through your art, and taking these modern cultural times, and then juxtaposing onto it, you know, our ancestry. So it just strikes me as like a very, very special ordinance, almost,
thank you,
that you've been tasked with, you know, by the world, it seems. I don't know, do you look at your art that way, or does that, you know, do you feel that pressure when you're creating?
Yeah, you just put words to everything, like all the emotions I'm feeling. Yeah, it's exactly how I feel. And I mean, it's not something I was prepared for, to be honest. And it's not a lot of it is like, you know, you learn as you go. I don't know, Jay would also tell you, I mean, Jibolu and I have similar experiences as well. And I mean, Jibolu, I mean, lived in Nigeria, but he moved out here much earlier, you know, than I did. So he went to high school here and all that. But I'm still culture shocked sometimes about a lot of things that happens to me. You know, sometimes I mean, people are making jokes. Sometimes they make reference to a show on TV in '98. I'm like, I wasn't even here. I don't know what that is. All these things happened in 2006. So things happen, you know, like really deeply cultural things that I had to just, you know, YouTube or read up on or ask questions, you know, even some slangs, you know. I mean, just even ordering food at the bodega and try to get my sandwich or something. And, you know, now I understand that. Yeah, exactly. You know, I shouldn't say, please, can I have? I just say, give me that. You know, when I'm watching every time, bacon, egg, and cheese. You know, that's the way you say it, bacon, egg, and cheese. You don't just say, please, can I have a sandwich? They look at you like, yo, where you from? And then when they say, where you from? I'm like, holy God.
Right,
Here we go now. And I'm going to start it. Where you from? Where you from? I'm like, yeah, I live in Brooklyn. I mean, where you from, bro? Where you from?
Right.
And I'm there, yeah. And my accent, I'm trying to say, how did you even know? I'm like trying so hard out here like to put up an accent and everything.
Right.
And like I'm from Nigeria, motherland. I'm like, oh, here we go. And then and then we start the whole story, and then but I love Brooklyn. I mean, trust me, I feel a home here. The people here have embraced my art, embraced my identity, embraced everything. And like, even this is so weird and crazy, is that they embraced it way more than even what people did to me, like embrace it back home, which is crazy because a lot of people back home are scared about our culture. Why? Colonialism, white supremacy. They did a number in Nigeria. And it's like when you think about, what, people really, really think about their culture, it's sad because a lot of folks, like where I grew up Christian, by the way. My parents are born again Christians, and they didn't want to have anything with, Yoruba, Orisha, culture, worship, religion. They're like, that's evil, it's demonic, that's Satan, baby. You're going to hell. That's what people think, that is evil, And who taught us that? Christianity, the Europeans. They came to save us from our, quote unquote, heathen ways, saving us. And then by saving us, they stole from us. They stole a lot of the art, by the way. The same culture that they demonized is what sits in their museums today. Is what they teach their kids with today. It's what they've profited from today. It's what built their economies today. And what are we left with? Stupidity. We're left with stupidity in the religion. We're left with the racism. We're left with the white supremacy. We're left with the supremacist tendencies. We're left with idea that some culture is better than ours. We should this art, people say, oh, this is too traditional. You know how many times I've heard that back home? This is too the world is not ready for this. It's too culture. Like, why don't you tone it down a little bit? It's too much heavy on Yoruba culture, I heard that all the time. Even my own mom, like, this is very Orisha, demonic. It's demonic. I mean, why are you drawing demonic things? That's how people say. Only to come to Brooklyn, and when I say Orisha, oh my God, people love it, because that's a lot of people I meet here don't even have never been to Nigeria, never met a Yoruba, and they have Yoruba names. They have temples. They have they do Orisha worship, and it's almost like you almost feel like crying, because I thought I traveled far away from home. I traveled far away from home only to come back home, to my people. So it's like you see people who've never been to Nigeria who speak Yoruba. How? After over 300 years, they have been able to hold on firm to that with the belief, this culture. And that's what drives everything. When you look at culture, you see everything. You see how a lot of things you watch on TV, pop culture is driven by African Americans. And where did they come from? The continent. The same thing when I worked with Beyonce. Beyonce wanted to, she been checking out my art. She looked at what I did and she was like, this connects with the Creole culture. It connects her to her roots. And she wanted, that Orisha representation. I was shocked that she even knew about Orisha, because I was like, wait, what? Like, what?
Wow.
Like, pop and Orisha? Apparently, a lot of African Americans know, a lot of Americans are so vastly aware about a lot of the culture, a lot of spirituality that comes from the continent, comes from Yoruba, where I'm from. So I'm like, look at it this way: what we despise or what people try to chase away or try to reduce back home, and people have embraced it, even outside home. People who have been even over centuries. When you go to Cuba, for example, you go to Brazil, this cultures, you go to Dominican Republic, you go to Jamaica, you go to all these places. A lot of this culture is heavily influenced by Yoruba culture. And what's there not to be proud of about that?
Right.
And that is giving me like a gateway, because now when I talk about it, it's not new. It's not new, So when I talk about, talking about human rights or talking about whatever it is I want to put in my art, it's not new. It's not strange to them. People embrace it. Oh, my brother, I'd like to work with you. Oh, want to paint my face? Please go ahead. Nobody's seen like, oh my God, Jesus is going to strike me dead if I paint my body. No.
Right.
People embrace me, embrace the culture, embrace the ancestry, embrace my message. And that has led to who I am today. It's brought my art to a whole different audience. It's elevated my career. It's exploded in places that I would never have imagined it. I've spoken at schools. I've done a lot just, with that. And so who am I not to carry everything that this culture is giving me? It's almost like, this is my life now. I'm not running away from it.
Right.
This is who I am. So I'm excited about it. And I'm being told I need to talk about this show. This show out here, we're having an exhibition. I'm having an exhibition. So I was told,
love it.
Don't get carried away.
Well done, Jibbler. He's like, exhibition, man.
So we're having a show, and this show is dedicated. It's gonna start on Mother's Day. It's gonna be the same week as Freeze, and it's dedicated to motherhood in pre-colonial terms, to use the word the relationship between the mother and the child. So the one you're seeing behind me is called Iyaniwura. It means mother is gold. So it has a lot of references to Madonna and child. It also has a lot of references to the woman and the instinct, the maternal instincts, and what those things, because a lot of symbols drawn on her body, the pose, the feeling of guidance and also protection. And there's a lot that I'm going to be explaining in this show. The colors are very, very symbolic as well. Those blue and the gold and gray is very symbolic with the Yoruba tradition, the blue especially, because those colors have been used since like the 20th century. People have used those colors a lot. Yoruba women wear it, as a garment, that same blue. So I'm excited about it. It's something that it's not. It's something about these pieces that really strike me, is that they have such a symbolic nature to them, and they're not seeking validation. These women, especially when talk about the traditional women, when talk about Yoruba women, they are complete in themselves. And that's what I'm trying to say. This is not seeking like a Western validation or anything. These are women who are whole, they're complete. I'm just trying to explain some things that have been missed out for decades, and the misappropriation, miscommunication. A lot of times, a lot of our stories have been told by a lot of Europeans for time immemorial. But now I want to tell the story. I want to retell the story the way my grandmother told me, and using Asian symbols, using a lot of research, and things that I think people should know, because a lot of it also goes down to talk about how Europeans used gender and used the way Europeans see man and woman is different from the way we, before they came, see man and woman. It's not the same. There's this global rationale that a lot of feminists in the West use, that they say women were oppressed world over for centuries before the feminist movement, and that's a lie. Because before the colonials came, women had a distinctive roles, especially where we're from. Women were not objects. They were not like subordinated. They were not subordinates of the men. They worked hand in hand. They had their roles. The women had their roles, and I'm trying to uncover a lot of this truth and let people see these stories and the truth as how it actually is. So I put out these pieces. I hope people come see them. It's going to start on the 5th to the 9th of May, and it's going to be in the city. All COVID restrictions have been observed, so you have to book an appointment on the website. You have to go to laolu.nyc.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Laolu.nyc. I'll go Laolu.nyc and book an appointment.
Beautiful. Wow.
Yeah.
That's powerful, man. And even on that last exhibition, there's a lot to unpack there, but on that last exhibition,
yeah,
that's powerful. Is it strikes me as though the feminism debate has heated up, in recent times.
right.
And it does strike me as though when people see women being empowered, a more traditional woman, like my mother will say, man, that's not for women. But it's interesting to then be actually exposed to a layer deeper in our culture, and learn that actually it is. So man, I find that with Black culture, man, or African roots, there's a lot of things. The unlearning of whom we were originally is thorough and deep.
It's thorough.
It's thorough, man.
As well.
And it's interesting to see hip hop culture. Like maybe that's why we gravitate. Maybe that's why we gravitate to gold in hip hop. Maybe that's why we gravitate to gold.
No.
Because like that's innate in us and wanting to be expressed.
Let me give you one shocking thing I just found out. It's rap and Brad and Jay-Z and a lot of rappers. I just mentioned Jay-Z because I there's a way he talks about who he is and what he has. Let me tell you where we got that from. So Yoruba people have this thing called we call it Oriki. So I have my own Oriki, for example. And my Oriki is Omo Ijebu Odi Ogbogbo Jale Jale. Omo Ani to Ibo Nile, Omo Ani Wura, Omo Ani Pepe, Omo Igo Mefa, Omo Ekoshegeje, Omo Jale Jale, Omo Ogbogbo Jale Jale. Now, these are high points. These are things that my family and my family tree, my grandfather, the high points of things have achieved, and also how I like to see myself, So it helps me I remember who I am, the son of who I am, and what my place in this world. When I say Omani Doibo Nile and Omani Wura Omani Pepe, I have gold in excess at my altar. Check that. Like you don't have that. So a lot of Idile is like families have different Orikis. So they had shows we would come together and trash talk each other. This I'm talking thousands of years, like 1,000 years now, this culture. So literally every family had points where they would talk. So I would come and say how badass my family is. Right. And then you would step up and say how badass your own family is. And then somebody else would step up and say how badass the family is. All in culture.
That sounds like hip hop to me.
What does that remind you of?
That's hip hop. Wow.
Hip hop.
Look and how cool that is.
Blown. I'm just like, whoa.
And it's also rhythmic the way you were saying it.
It's not new. Wow. Yeah, rhythmic. Yeah, it's rhythmic. It's drums. It's chants. So it's in our blood. It's just different. It's different. And it has roots in the style, in the culture. So every time I see a lot of things now, I'm just like, whoa, we don't die. We don't. It's impossible. We don't. It's a lot in our blood, in our DNA, So I celebrate art everywhere I see it. I celebrate innovation. I celebrate the culture. Like just looking at just what, again, Black people have had to experience in this country. And see them thrive in spite of. It's crazy. People still wake up, people still work, people are still kind. Because when you think about, again, go back to this thing, people talk about, these situations, like like the civil rights happened like hundreds of years ago. There are people alive right now who would tell me, straight up, that I remember stepping away from the sidewalk for a white person to walk past. There are people alive right now that will tell you that. People have experienced grave injustice. Like, how many people have been locked up for smoking weed, locked up for having weed in their houses, and now you see the weed cannabis industry blow up, and there a lot of African Americans are being left out. Like, sorry to go back to this, but it's something that I just feel that a lot of change still needs to be done. A lot of work still needs to be done. And yeah, so sorry to take you back from what you were saying, but I just had that in my mind. I just wanted to say that.
This has been a special conversation, man, and it's just been really a privilege to listen to. And it makes me feel, honestly, that much more connected to your mission and your art. And I think you and Jibalu have been ordained with a special mission, man. And I know you guys likely recognize that. And sometimes, sometimes the mission sometimes it gets in your head. Sometimes it feels like, man, are we hyping ourselves up? And then you'll come across people that reaffirm, and you're like, nah, we're needed. And this is pushing this pull, but you guys are on this meteoric rise right now, man. And it's really special for me to see you guys be recognized on larger and larger platforms and get the story out there. And the special thing is that with the recognition of your platform comes education and knowledge and stories and connecting people to their roots. And that's the special thing, man. So thank you for this beautiful, riveting conversation. Is a pleasure to have you. And we can't wait for people to hear the story.